do you guys like working together?
I want to kill him. No, I'm just kidding. He's like my best friend, basically, at this point.
We're an odd couple.
We're an odd couple. We even look different. We think differently.
We like to beat up each other's ideas. That's what we do all day.
We're on the phone with each other 10 hours a day. Or at least we used to be. Now it's a little bit less. I'm Wiley Aronow. I also go by Gordon Goner on the internet.
And I'm Greg Solano. People on the internet usually call me Garga.
And we're on set with Input. We met at a bar in Miami. We were both home from college. We were both studying creative writing at the time and immediately got into a fight about David Foster Wallace. I just finished Infinite Jest, and I'm very stereotypical of someone of my age. I feel like I was like a super fan. Gargo was like, that guy sucks. And that was like kind of the beginning of our friendship.
Yep. In 2017, I bought a little bit of Ethereum, a little bit of Ripple, and I immediately texted Wiley, hey, you should get into this too. And he took to it like a fish to water, and we were just trading and fell into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we just kind of like fell in love with crypto Twitter and the culture that was being built on Ethereum. It was just like this amazing new world for us. The characters that we fell in love with on crypto Twitter seemed to us like bored apes in a certain sense. To ape in crypto kind of meant to like ape into a coin or ape into some asset that you hadn't done a lot of research on. And there was like all these people on crypto Twitter who, you know, you could cryptographically verify were like worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and they'd just be like tweeting out like, who wants to play League of Legends, you know? Rather than like anyone else who had made up that much money at such a young age who like off to the south of France or something, they were just like, I'm bored. And so the idea for Bored Apes kind of came from our love of those people on crypto Twitter.
We wanted to make a club. We wanted to make a token that had utility, that gave you access to something, even if that thing was like silly, even if it was just like a
swamp club for apes.
Yeah.
We had originally had the idea that we wanted to do like a pixel board that was like a really highfalutin, high art idea, where it was like, oh, everything's like Moreau or Mondrian-esque profile pictures. And if you owned one of those profile pictures, you could have access to this pixel board where you drop a pixel like every few hours or something. And we thought, oh, people will create like really fanciful art on the blockchain. It'll be this collaborative art experiment. And then I was telling this idea to Nicole one night, and she was like, yeah, that's funny, but you're an idiot because the first thing anyone's gonna draw on there is gonna be a dick. And so then we started thinking about like, okay, well, where is someone gonna draw a dick? And they were like, oh, a bathroom wall, you know, at a dive bar, kind of like the dive bar we first met. And we were like, okay, where is this dive bar? And we're like, oh, this kind of like this perfect amalgamation of like Bored Ape Yacht Club. And we really wanted to make it a club because that was something that I don't think anyone had really thought of doing with a NFT project at that time. We're just kind of like cultural junkies, you know, it's just we spent our life consuming media. One of my all-time favorite bands is Velvet Underground, and I love that whole subculture that was built around that. That sort of like late 60s, early 70s, subcultural and strange.
We both grew up listening to a lot of punk rock, going to hardcore shows in Miami, but we didn't want to take, for example, like the standard, you know, mohawk. The mohawk in the collection's a little bit more like the one from Taxi Driver than what you'd expect. Yeah. We wanted them to feel kind of like outcasts in this like strange little club.
I mean, it felt like a huge success the moment the collection sold out. It was really when the collection was revealed and people got to see what their apes were. It very quickly sold out on that very epic night for us. That felt like a major success. I mean, even though we'd only sold each ape for $200 at the time, it felt like, you know, the greatest windfall we'd ever had, and because it was. You know, at the time, it felt like other NFT collections would sell out, and then the founders would make $1 million, and then they would just, you know, or you know, you felt lucky if someone would just stick around. And we thought, like, part of the premise of Bored Ape Yacht Club to a large extent was like, what would happen if we stuck around and just like worked our asses off?
You know, it changed our lives. Just that one day was May 1st. Last year, but ever since then we've been working 14 hours a day ever since.
I need a nap. You know, a lot of celebrities will ape into the club, and we're actually usually the last to know. One time just Shaq aped in and then came into our Discord. Same thing with Steph Curry, which was like, oh my God, here's like one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And he's just, you know, in the club hanging out. But again, we never know that that's gonna happen before time.
It's been really special to get to know like Beeple, for example. Like his creative output is absolutely astounding.
He's incredible.
We were huge fans long before we got to meet him.
biggest thing I think we're working on right now is other side. We're trying to build the metaverse as we think it should be and what we think the community thinks it should be. It's something that we are deeply motivated towards because we think the metaverse will be important. I'm in particular excited for Bored Ape Yacht Club because I view that as like our baby since it was the first thing we've ever did, and I think we just want to go bigger and bigger and bigger with that. You know, this year at Ape Fest we had capacity at Pier 17 of 4,000 people, but we still couldn't get everyone in every night, and so we had to like allocate different tickets, you know, per night to certain holders, and try to keep it as egalitarian as possible, of course. I've been thinking, what if we created our own sort of Coachella for Ape Fest, and like, where can we take the collection, where can we take the community and the club beyond where it is? So when we started Bored Ape Yacht Club, it didn't pass the mom test to a certain degree. And we started calling it the mom test for Garga's mom, because it's like, Garga's mom couldn't have bought a Bored Ape. We don't think NFTs and cryptocurrency in general are passing the mom test yet. And to do that, we need to onboard about 1 million more people into crypto and NFTs in particular. And so when we think about what we're building with Yuga, we're thinking about how do we get this more accessible? How do we get it to pass the mom test? And how do we bring in 1 million more people?
Yeah, and how do we reduce the friction between owning a token on the internet, an image, something that you can verify on chain that you own, and actually using it to get into an event, getting into a digital space, being able to order exclusive merchandise with it.
And there's value in that, right? I mean, you think about like the sneaker market or limited edition drops, and it's like only 10,000 people can access this exclusive merch, this streetwear that we're, you know, this brand that we're building. Part of that like works cohesively with the community, because while we build the broader brand, sort of the sandbox, so to speak, the community is building the sandcastles, because they're the ones who are utilizing the Bored Apes into tentacles into all industries basically right now. So it's kind of this grand experiment of art, culture, and blockchain.